I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, November the 23rd, brought to you in part by Widetex. Widetex Corporation, providing livestock producers with excellence in animal health. For more information, go to y-tex.com. Strange Bedfellows, and I want to talk to you about yet another bill that has to do with cattle market reform that was announced on Monday here starting out the week, but has not been introduced yet, but they're expecting it to be introduced here next week sometime. But it is another cattle market reform bill, and it is being introduced by Cory Booker, who is a liberal vegan from New Jersey, and Ro Khanna, California representative, both liberal Democrats, and Ro Khanna is one of the original co-sponsors of the Green New Deal. So it's not bipartisan as of yet. We don't have any Republicans or conservatives that have signed on to this bill or anything, but it is being pushed hard by RCAF. And there's a lot of bills out there that has to do with cattle market right now. We've got John Tester's bill out there that's asking to ban beef imports from Brazil, and we've got all three trade organizations backing that, and that's a very popular bill. We've had the 5014 from Charles Grassley asking for 50% of the cattle that the packers buy be on a negotiated cash basis and be delivered within 14 days. Then we had the Cattle Market Transparency Act by Deb Fisher, which asked for regional percentages to be met and then to be kept adjustable going forward. Called for a library of the sweetheart deals, and for the USDA to report as much information as they can possibly report without getting into confidentiality. We've had a lot of these things come up here, and then we've had the compromise bill that a lot of people are getting behind, that both Chuck Grassley and Deb Fisher's bunch and their staff has gotten together. U.S. Cattlemen's Association was very instrumental in putting together the compromise between the two, and so we figured that's our bill to get pushed. Now we've got this other new bill that's come in there, and with Cory Booker being the main introducer of this bill and supposedly putting it all together, then you know what his drive is. What he wants to do is he wants to eliminate CAFOs, or confined animal feeding operations, i.e. feedlots. So as I looked at this bill and read through it, I thought, well, where's the part where they're going to ask for the elimination of these confined animal feeding operations? Well, as I started reading through the bill, I found that they don't have to worry about the cattle confined animal feeding operations or feedlots, because if this bill would happen to get passed, it would effectively shut down all of your meat packing industry, at least all the major meat packing industry. And this thing calls for the not the limiting, but it prohibits all formula contracts. It asks for 50% negotiated cash, but to be delivered within 7 days. And everything in there has went from 14-day, which has always been current delivery, to 7 days. Hell, you can't even get a truck to get anything delivered within 7 days anymore. It's just, it's unbelievable how aggressive this bill is. This bill is 93 pages long. 57 pages of it is new regulations for packers. It empowers your plant employee, plant workers in there, and basically gives them the right to open litigation on anything gives them all the power in the world and your packers no power. Basically, if you know, they're working along there and they decide they need a break to go take a leak or something like that, they can force them to shut the chains down instead of just alternating a break like they've always done. Now, what do you think the union reps and leaders are going to think about this? You know, I mean, they're just going to make hay with this deal. But it would open litigation up to all kinds of things that the packers would basically be unable to operate. So you get rid of your big packers, which, I mean, I know we cuss them on here every day. We're frustrated because they've got a monopoly within the industry and all that kind of thing. But, you know, we kind of need them, right? You know, we wouldn't be able to operate as we've known things forever. You couldn't have major feedlots, and that's why Cory Booker and the other liberals would be behind something like this, is because it would shut down major cattle feeding. Well, these sponsors of this bill have no conception of major animal protein production or how you know, this country, let alone the world, gets fed animal protein. They have no conception of it at all. They think that, you know, we could just have farmers markets, you know, on the square of every little town, you know, and every little farmer could bring out, you know, a handful of meat on the back of his pickup tailgate and feed everybody that needs to be fed. You know, we can't do that. It just would absolutely not work. And I'm not surprised. I shouldn't say I'm surprised, but this, you know, RCAF is aggressively pursuing this and promoting this bill, and you know, and some of you guys think that I'm anti-RCAF, and I'm absolutely not. RCAF has some of the most passionate members and supporters within this industry, and I'll never, you know, question their mission or their fight for the end result, which is keeping, you know, cattle production viable, ranching viable, and all these kind of things. But the way that they go about it is just unbelievable. And then they've got these strange bedfellows, these liberals, and in some cases vegans, that they're joining arms with. You know, those guys would leave them in a minute if they could get some of these things pushed through that they want. And they basically don't want a mainstream animal agriculture at all. They believe it's ruining the environment and, you know, and causing climate change and all these kinds of things. And for true blue cattle producers and cowboys to get behind something like this and give them a platform is just unbelievable to me. But this thing is so aggressive, it'll never get passed in a million years, which that doesn't surprise me that RCAF is supporting it in that way, because that's what they do it. This new bill would also call for the reinstating country of origin labeling, which would be great. I've told you guys a million times, country of origin labeling would be great, but we can't get it. You know, we can kick that dead horse as long as we want to kick it, but we can't get it back. And it's not going to happen. We could get truth in labeling. There's another bill out there that's put forth with a South Dakota senator to just you know, give truth in labeling, whether this product is born, raised, backgrounded, fed, produced, processed, everything in the United States or not. Well, that's all I need to know. I don't need a list of all the different places that this water buffalo could come from. I'd just like to know whether it is all from the United States or it isn't. We could get something like that. But, you know, country of origin labeling is a whole lot more stringent than that. And it's just very confusing how we could get, you know, some of the most liberal, you know, representatives and lawmakers in this country joining together with some that are supposed to be the most conservative. And I you know, I think it's one of those deals where you got to watch those guys. Those guys don't have the same end result plan as what any cattle producer or guy that would be fighting for this industry wants. But you guys need to look at that, read it. Go on there and open it up and read through some of that stuff. It's unbelievable. And I agree, we need to hold the packers' feet to the fire, but we can't completely shut them down or make it impossible for them to operate. That's a little bit scary too. I failed to mention on our last visit to start out the week that the cattle on feed report that they had on Friday was basically neutral, and that's one reason that I didn't talk about it, because it was basically a nothing burger there. But it did show that our numbers of cattle on feed in Kansas and Colorado are on the uprise, and in Texas and Nebraska, which are normally the biggest, are on the downside a little bit. But you guys need to kind of pay attention to what you support. I know I'm going to get a lot of people that are not happy with this because I spoke out against this new bill, but go in there and read it. Read it for yourself. Don't let somebody talk you into getting behind something that you're not paying attention to. You got to be realistic and get in support of something that we can get and that will keep things rolling, because we still need to feed this country and the world. And if we start, making laws and regulations, more regulations are never good when you're talking about, big time production of anything. But this deal is a head scratcher to me. Let's talk about your board to open the week on Monday. December live cattle futures were up 90 cents at 134.42. February up $1.27 at 138.97. It's just, we are just gangbusters on this fat cattle market because of supply and demand, and our market ready supplies are tight. They're needing product, so the end result is higher prices. We've been scraping, trying to get that put together, and we're seeing a lot more negotiated cash trade. We're enjoying that right now, along with the higher prices, which kind of go hand in hand. That's why we've been pushing for a mandate for something like that, but it's not going to last forever. It could last throughout the rest of this calendar year, but it'll likely go back the other way. Talk about feeder cattle futures. January feeder cattle futures up 77 cents at 161.70, despite corn being higher, with December corn Chicago Board of Trade futures up 6 cents at 576 3/4 a bushel. You look at March, it was up 72 cents at 164.10, which sounds pretty handsome out there. You go on your back months, and they were from unchanged to as much as 82 cents higher on your back months of your feeder cattle. Kansas City hard red winter wheat is just going crazy. It's unbelievable how high it's getting. Your March contracts were up 28 cents just on Monday, closing at 866 and a half a bushel. That is unbelievable how high that's gotten. Fat cattle trade is not yet developed. Of course, we did have a little bit of trade in Iowa, about 700 head confirmed at 212 dressed. That's a higher dressed price than we saw all of last week. So guys, that just means dig in, ask more, ask considerably more than you got last week. Give it a little bit of room to haggle there a little bit. But these packers are very, very aggressive. They're needing product. They're not nearly as particular as to quality as what they were whenever the supplies were in their favor. But we're going to see a higher fat cattle market again this week. Box beef cutout values were kind of mixed, but mostly on the higher side, with choice cuts up 84 cents Monday afternoon at 279 1/4. Select cuts down just 10 cents at 263.73. Talk about what else is going on. Beaver County Stockyards is a sponsor here on the Feeder Flash, and they are a DV auction customer, and they are a growing market in no man's land, Oklahoma Panhandle, there on the eastern side of the Oklahoma Panhandle, doing a really good job there. Day-to-day operations are run by Jeff Slatton there. his wife Jerry, and they do a really good job. If you guys are in the vicinity, and we know guys, I know people that are hauling cattle in there from several hundred miles away and getting along really good. But it's sure a place to look at if you're looking for an opportunity to market your cattle in a going market there. They've got lots of buyers there. They've got new facilities out back. That sale barn's been there for a long time, but the facilities are top notch, and there's really not a pen out back that's not brand new and steel, and they've just doing a really good job, and they're aggressively marketing your cattle. Talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV auction. Late in the day on Monday, sitting at 157.19. That was up $1.51 from the close of last week's real-time index there. It's running about 90 cents higher than what your CME cash feeder cattle index is. Of course, it's a day or day and a half ahead of that at least. So we'll see gains on your CME index here as we go forward through the first part of this week. Let's talk about your big high volume sales on Monday. Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City at 10,000 head. Market was higher, sharply higher in spots. Feeders selling steady to $4 higher. Spots as much as $10 higher on feeding type cattle going right into the feedlot. Steer calves $2 to $6 higher. Heifer calves $4 to $10 higher. Unbelievable how much gains we saw in such a high volume market as Oklahoma City. Joplin Regional Stockyards, I told you guys on our last visit that they were having their big yearling special. They ended up with over 12,800 head of cattle for their Monday sale. Lots of yearlings, over 100 pot loads of yearlings, and we're going to talk about that. But feeder steers sold $3 to $7 higher in Joplin. Feeder heifers are $3 to $5 higher. Look at this automated market report from Cattle Market Central through DV Auction. Joplin's a DV Auction customer. You don't have to be to get an automated market report like this, but whenever you are, it happens pretty fast there. But look at your best tested weights, and it was all in the bigger, heavier feeders and your yearlings there. But they had some lighter weight yearlings, and they sold really well. But just an impressive market at Joplin, and they feature commodity type cattle. That's not to say that they didn't have cattle in there, northern quality cattle that were good enough to go anywhere, and they had the buyers in there to buy them. But you know, this is the market, the absolute market for feeding type cattle. But look at your best tested weights. 1,169 head of your 6-weight feeder steers average 653 with a weighted average price of 160.54. 2,428 head of 7-weight steers, be mostly all true yearlings there, average 753 with a weighted average price of 159.65. Almost 2,700 head just in one sale there on one day. Joplin Regional Stockyards of 8-weight feeder steers, true yearlings. They averaged 836 with a weighted average price of 158.88. That's well over what your index quotes for a slick 800 pounder, and that's well into your 8-weight steers. Your heifers, the best tested weight was some 7-weight heifers. 1,428 head of them, averaged 749 with a weighted average price of 151.50. The stickout deal in Joplin was J.W. Henson steers. He'd been debating on when to sell them, and he was glad that he waited and sold them for the big yearling special. But 120 head, 957 pound, top quality yearling feeder steers there. Bring 161 1/4 at Joplin Regional Stockyards on Monday. Some other top quotes around the circuit. National Livestock Commission, that has a commission firm there in Oklahoma City, had some top quotes out of there. 62 head, 559 pound steer calves. That's on the heavy side of your 5-weights. Bring $188 on Monday in Oklahoma City. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Monday, in your Zach Tran top quote for the day, come out of Sioux Falls Regional Livestock in Worthing, South Dakota. 55 head of 1,075 pound yearling feeder steers, big heavy near beer feeder steers, bring 161 1/4. That's your feeder flash for Tuesday.